Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and as many of you have requested, I am finally going to be going over the Arena minigame. Arena is unlocked after you finish the Broken Spire questline, so as soon as you finish Shegra at the end of the questline there. In Arena, you get to play on a level playing field against other people's Arena teams. You get to choose a team from your hero, a random common from 3 different choices, a random rare from 3 different choices, and a random ultra rare from 3 different choices. And you do it in a double elimination for these following rewards. And the main one that you are aiming for are the souls. The souls that you get from Arena is actually the highest amount of soul output you can get anywhere in the game, and it is the best place for farming souls. And with that being said, let's get into actually showing some drafts. I'm going to be showing 25 drafts and basically explaining everything that I can about Arena. And later today I'll be posting a video of my Let's Play account doing an Arena run if you want to see that. But for right now, I'm just going to be explaining how to draft in Arena, as well as some tips and mechanics that you need to know. First off, I should mention, there are no banners in Arena. No matter what you do, there's no way to get extra manas or anything like that. Similarly, no traits that you have will work in Arena. No matter what level your troops are, every single Arena troop will be modified to level 15. And the main thing is Kingdom bonuses also will not work in Arena. So if you happen to have a few, they will not work here. So it puts everyone at basically as level as you can get. The only difference that will slightly skew stats just by a little bit is the hero stats from leveling up. You sometimes get like a random stat every now and then. Will have an effect in Arena. Class bonuses and things like that do not. But for some reason, the ones you get from naturally leveling do. And the other slight disadvantage is on PC and mobile, you get to choose from any weapon in the entire game that you own. So people who might like pay for weapons or are like a lot higher level than you or happen to focus on a certain mastery might have better weapons than you. But for the most part, they won't. On the consoles, you get to draft your weapon as well. So that's not applicable on consoles. So I'm gonna go and show 25 drafts now. And just show you what you should be picking and my methods behind like what you should pick. So here we have three of them here. You get to choose from 3 for every single rarity. We have an Orc here, which just destroys a bunch of skulls and then gains attack if he gets damage. We have Rock here, which takes a lot of mana, but it has a really good ability. It does 13 damage and then gains 8 attack and life, but it can only be used once. And then we have Taurus here, which does 6 damage to the first and then an additional 8 to the second if they're damaged. So of these 3, you definitely want to go for the Rock. Rock you would mostly go for because if you can get a yellow mana generator with it, it can be really powerful in the second slot. So let's recruit this and keep going. And now we have 3 more choices. I already know from these choices I'm probably going to be going for the Vampire Lord. Vampire Lord is actually really good in Arena right now. The 6 true damage, 2-to-1 ratio on the red gems it removes. So that is a lot of damage. It can basically one-shot quite a few troops because its true damage is going to be getting anywhere from about 8 to about 13. So that's enough damage to kill pretty much any Arena troop. And then after that, he even gains 4 HP. So I know off the bat I'm already going to be picking Vampire Lord. Succubus, you don't need too much. It only drains 7 mana and then places Death Mark. Death Mark's arguably one of the weakest effects in the game right now. And the Nymph can be good. It's a little bit slow. It tangles an enemy and then destroys a little bit of armor. You don't really need Nymph too much unless you need the colors. One thing to keep in mind when doing Arena is you do want to try covering as many colors as you can. Either 5 or all 6 is ideal. So let's go for the Vampire Lord. One other thing, which is a little bit weird with how Arena is set up right now, is after we pick this, you're going to want to remember your the second troop that you pick. Because look, we're going to click this. It's a brown purple. And we click recruit. And we can't see its other color right there, which is purple. I don't know why they have it blocked like this, but if you happen to forget what it is or what troop you picked, you won't know what colors you need to pick for this last one. Like right now we know brown, purple, yellow, and now we know we need to go red-blue because we need that to cover the rest of the colors. Luckily, this red-blue is also pretty good. It's Berserker. It gains quite a few attack. Berserker, you normally don't want to put in the first slot because you want it in the second slot so it can keep racking up more and more damage. Its ability is also pretty good since it starts at a 7 and can go as high as 14. So we're going to pick the Berserker. And now ordering. Ordering early on, you normally would never have your hero in the first slot. You can see my hero has pretty high stats because I'm level 1000. But if you're like level 100 or 200 or somewhere low down there, you normally want to put your hero in either the third or the fourth slot. So for this team composition, I'm going to be putting Berserker first, despite saying not to do that. Mostly because you do want to put your highest attack in your first slot. In most cases, you are going to want to do that, either the first or second. I have Rock here in second over Berserker because you need its ability to charge up before it can actually be good. And Vampire Lord is just here to do damage, and then we just change our weapon to something like a anything that's basically green. Probably if you're earlier on in the game, like something like Phoenix Bow or something like that. Maybe even just the normal old bow or something. But I'm not going to be showing all of the weapon picks for most of these because console players don't have them, and I'd be here forever if I'm doing all that. So I am going to be going a little bit quicker through quite a few more of these. I just wanted to do the first one a little bit more in depth so I can explain kind of the organization method for doing it. So let's keep going. I'm going to be, of course, showing 25 drafts right now. So there's the first one, and let's keep going. I'll explain as much as I can with every single draft without taking forever. Okay, here we can already see Musketeer. Musketeer, why? Because it does damage. Zombie, no damage. It removes skulls, it's too slow. Peasant, a lot of people hate on Peasant. Peasant's actually somewhat decent on Arena, but if you have a damage pick, you definitely want to pick it instead of Peasant. And since we have a damage right here, we want our Musketeer. Okay, right here, we have, well, we see Deep Borer here. Deep Borer may be good, but, he has mana conflict with the Musketeer that we already have, so we want to consider Soothsayer or the Hippogriff. Soothsayer can be somewhat decent. It destroys a purple and then gives all allies +1 magic. Since traits don't work in Arena, he won't have as empowered anything, so he's a little bit weaker than he normally would be. I am going to go for the Hippogriff though, because as you can see, it has 9 attack, so we're just going to set it right up front in our front line to do damage. And now we remember those colors are green, green and yellow, so we want to try picking colors that aren't that. We're all going to have mana conflict here. We either have to go with a double brown or a double red or double green. And of these choices, I'm thinking about leaning towards Blast Cannon here. We already have a high attack troop, so we don't need Spider Queen. She does a drain and an armor reduction as well, which is okay to have, but we already have our 9 attack troops, so we don't need it. Hobgoblin can be somewhat decent. But the main reason I want to go for the Blast Cannon is, of course, that Silence. Silence can be pretty powerful in Arena because since there's no status effects, there's very few things that can remove status effects like Silence. So we would want to go with this. It's also a lot tankier than the other choices that we have here. Like, he only has 18 total. This is 24. So he's going to be able to survive against the enemy attacks. So we're going to recruit this. And if we were to align these, it would be there, there, and probably hero and back. You might want to switch these two. It depends if you want to keep silencing or if you just want to keep poking them with damage. It depends what you pick for your hero weapon, of course. So let's keep going. There's a second one. So let's see. What do we get next? Skeleton, Satire, and Taurus again. Of these, we're definitely going to want to go with Skeleton or the Satire. The main reason for this is they both have an extra turn, which makes them pretty good. There's not that many troops that do Frozen off their ability in Arena, so there's not much that can stop that. Skeleton is a bit dependent on having a troop on your team that does high skull damage, and since we don't know if we're going to have high skull damage yet, we can't really pick them. Like, I know right now with my level 1000, I technically could pick a Skeleton because I know my hero has 9 attack. But if you're like level 50 or really low level, your attack's probably going to be only 6, 7, or maybe 8 in Arena, which isn't particularly high. So we are going to go with the Satire here. So So we got green. Right here we see Summoner, and this is pretty much an instant pick. Anything that can summon in Arena is really, really good. Unless there's like an outstandingly powerful damage that you can pick instead. You do want to go with summons in most cases. He gives 4 life to all allies, plus he summons a level 12 ghoul. But in Arena, all troops are currently raised up to 15. So even though it says 12, as soon as it summons a ghoul, that ghoul is going to be level 15. So we definitely want our summoner right here. It doesn't even matter what these other ones are in most cases. So we'll take that, and it also works good with our mana. We're at red. We have red, purple, green, and based on these colors, we can see that we have to go with Sacred Guardian. And Sacred Guardian is actually a really good pick too, because it gains as much armor as it deals damage. And Sacred Guardian is one of those picks it's almost an instant win if you have it on your team. There are a couple compositions that can beat it, but for the most part, this is like one of the tankiest troops you can possibly have in an arena draft. So we definitely want that. And based on what we have, we want to put our tank up front, have our set, and actually the rest works. And this works particularly good because we set this probably to a yellow weapon on our hero. And then as soon as this dies, we'll be replacing it with a brown because ghoul is brown. So this team would actually really dominate arena if you happen to get something like this. But yeah, let's just retire this, keep going. So let's go into our 4th draft. Okay, here we have Rock again, Goblin, and Zombie. Goblin is definitely one of the most powerful common picks you can get. I definitely want to get that over Rock. And Zombie, of course, you basically never want to pick Zombie. It removes skulls, which means you're going to be taking a longer amount of time in Arena. You want to make sure your Arena team is really quick as possible, so you can get to the 8-win reward. Of course, your team still needs to be able to win, but you want to be able to get there in a timely fashion. So we're going to take that Goblin. We have quite a few choices here, a lot of decent ones, particularly the Dryad or the Miststalker. The Dryad, of course, does quite a bit. It heals, or gives 5 life to an ally, then heals them by 6, which brings them closer to their max HP, and then gives them barrier, and then even creates 8 green gems on top of all of that. So it does quite a bit. It would be really good to assist our Goblin, but we also have Miststalker here, and Miststalker does 9 true damage to the weakest, and then gains 3 magic if the enemy dies. So we are, despite Dryad being so powerful, we might want to go with Miststalker here. Dryad is the defensive version of our picks right now, and Miststalker is the offensive. So I'm going to go a little bit more offensive and go with the Miststalker. And since that was red-purple, we seem to have mana conflict here. So maybe we should have gone with the Dryad. Unfortunate, but oh well. And in this case, I would probably go with probably the Berserker. Berserker is pretty good in Arena because it has pretty high damage and it just keeps gaining attack, and it already has a high attack. It has the highest HP of any troop in Arena, so it is quite tanky. And it's good against true damage because there's no amount of true damage that's going to be killing that in Arena. You have to at least double shot that before you can kill him. So he's a really good true damage counter as well. So we are going to pick this up again. And we're just going to order it like this. Miststalker, I'm actually going to be keeping back. You normally don't want to put your strongest offense all the way in the back. Normally, especially in the early game, you want to put your hero all the way in the back slot because you want it to tank the back in case the enemy has something like a rock worm or anything that might hit the back troop. But you don't want to put something really weak with like only 16 HP in the back, because if they have rock worm or something, it's only going to die in 2 or 3 shots. So it's going to die way too quick. You want to have it somewhere where it will survive, because this is our main damage source in this team. So that's that team. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, number 5. Let's see what we have here. Never pick Fortress Gate for any reason whatsoever, ever. Like, just ignore it. 0 attack means it is useless. Don't pick it, ever. Sacred Guard. Yeah, Scale Guard. Definitely one of the more powerful commons these days, because I got a buff recently in which it poisons an enemy, plus it deals double damage if they're poisoned. So he can deal 16 damage after his second cast. That's quite a bit of damage. And Reaver would be decent, but our Scale Guard here is more powerful, so we are going to go with the Scale Guard. And right here, we even have another Miststalker, but I'm probably not going to be going for it. Of these, I'm Poison Master. It poisons 2, which is pretty good. And actually, I might consider it now because I almost forgot. It does poison 2. It was buffed recently. So normally, if we didn't have Scale Guard, I would consider going with Jackalope here. Jackalope mostly because it's Mana Burn. Mana Burn is really powerful in Arena because troops can have anywhere from like 6 to 12 or even higher mana. So if they're all the way at full mana, you're going to be doing quite a bit of extra damage. So you're already doing 5 damage, plus you're doing whatever mana they have. And on top of that, you're converting all yellows to blue. So if you happen to have a blue troop on your team, it's going to be assisting that getting mana for you as well. But I am going to go with Poison Master here, mostly because we need free poisons for our Scale Guard. So our Scale Guard does twice as much skull damage. So we got that. And since that was blue-purple, we are going to go with the Grave Knight, regardless of these other ones, just to make... Oh, wait, never mind. It was purple. What am I saying? So it was blue-purple, so I mean we're going with the Blade Dancer, because it doesn't have any mana conflict. And Blade Dancer is actually pretty good, too, especially early on in the damaging. So we're going to place them like this. Scale Guard is our main casting damage. We have our hero back here just to tank our backline. And in our front line, we have a decent attack. Plus, his ability gets weaker as more troops get damaged, so he's good. Blade Dancer's better to have in your first or second slot because he doesn't do as much later in the match because he does damage 2 to 1 based on enemy armor, and they're going to have less armor as the match goes on. So you want to go with something like this, and let's retire and keep going. Okay, number 6. Okay, Dwarven Miner, you will never need this ever in Arena, or anywhere for that matter. It does have a 25% to gain 100 gold, but it's going to be too slow and you don't want it in your team. And now we have Ogre and Glade Warden. Glade Warden, we don't really need. It deals 6 damage to an enemy and then removes all greens to boost. It is fairly weak, and we're going to go for Ogre. Ogre has a fairly bad ability, but it has ridiculously high stats for a common. It outranks some of the ultra rares in Arena for how strong it is physically with its stats. So if you see an Ogre on your first pick, it's actually really good to pick it up. Despite it having a really bad ability, it's a really good troop to pick to make sure you have a good front tank to be able to deal damage and tank for you. Look at this, he has 22 overall durability. And he has 9 attack with that too, so that is really powerful. We're going to grab him. And on top of that, I can already tell we're going for Vampire Lord. Even though Dust Devil is pretty good to be able to shuffle up the enemy team to make sure they're out of order, we're going to go for Vampire Lord because that true damage, he deals a lot of true damage, and he can one-shot that. He can one-shot pretty much anything in Arena. So he's really good to have because he goes right past the armor. And now we just took a brown-purple, so from process of elimination on colors, will have to go with our Flame Cannon here. Flame Cannon, not particularly good, but it is our only color pick that we can get that's really good. That Chimera that was there might have actually been another good pick if we did want to have a little bit of mana conflict. But I did go for the Flame Cannon instead. What I'm going to do with this is put it right over there. If it can get that 20% chance for a burn off, it can do a lot of devastating damage. But that AoE damage not going to be able to do too much on this team composition. But we have a good tank over there, and we have our Vampire Lord doing true damage. It doesn't always matter if all of your troops are good in Arena. You just need basically those main 2 that are going to be doing everything. Like our main tank up here, and then one troop that's just going to be completely dominating the rest. So let's keep going. So now we're on to draft number 7. And the music just cut out. Or never mind, it didn't cut out. Okay, we don't want zombie. Priestess is situational. She's really good at making sure you don't lose because she cleanses an ally, one of the only cleanses you can get in Arena, and gives them 8 armor and then gives them barrier. It is really good at making sure you can survive, but it is slow because all of that is just to help you survive, not to do damage. So we are going to go for this Ogre here. Like I mentioned in the last one, really strong in being able to tank and do damage for us. Now from our selection, due to not wanting to get mana conflict, we are going to have to go with Banshee. Deals 7 damage to an enemy and transforms all blue to red, and does that at a 2 to 1 ratio. it can do a little bit of decent damage. This ratio is actually the same thing as Vampire Lord, except it's not true damage, but it has a convert on top of that, which can make it good. It can accumulate a lot of red gems, so if we can get a good red troop in our ultra rare select, this team will work pretty well. So let's get Banshee. And we do have a red pick. It is unfortunately our only red pick here, but we are going to have to go for it. So let's take up this Berserker again, and we'll just go in this order. Put that there, put that there. And in this case, we may even want to put Hero in front of it. It depends what your weapon is or what you want to do. Because early on, you won't have that many good weapons, but later on in the game, you have like a wide selection. Like if I go in my weapons right now, we have everything, pretty much everything. Or I think everything, I don't even know at this point. There's so many weapons. But yeah. So this is the order you want to go in, and Banshee will be able to make those reds. It'll convert the blues into reds, which will help with filling up Berserker. And by the time the Ogre dies, Berserker will have like 12 or 16 attack, and it'll just be able to one-shot everything. So yeah, that's that team. Let's keep going. Okay, draft number, I don't know, what are we at now? 8, I think? I'm keeping track, but even on my thing that I'm keeping track on, I'm starting to lose track. Okay, right here, Scale Guard. Gonna try going a little bit quicker because I feel like I'm taking forever to start to do these, and I don't have like a timer set up anywhere. Oh, and we got Poison Master again. It seems almost like the other draft we got not too long ago. And that was blue-purple. Wait, didn't we get this exact same draft not too long ago? Look at this. Blade Dancer, Poison Master, and Hero and back. I think that was the exact same one we got, like, what, 3 minutes ago? 3 drafts ago? But yeah, okay, that was the next one. Move on to number 9. Okay, here again we have Scale Guard. This one is a bit of a choice between the Satire and the Scale Guard. I am going to go Scale Guard just because Scale Guard. It's been buffed recently, so it's quite powerful. Next up, I'm going to go for the Vampire Lord again, mostly because we have Scale Guard with Poison, plus now we have true damage on top of that, so we'll really be able to kill things really quick with that combination. So we are going to go Vampire Lord. Unfortunately, Vampire Lord does remove all of our reds, but that shouldn't be too big a problem since Vampire Lord will be our main damage source instead of our Scale Guard. The Scale Guard will just pick up the scraps of reds that will come on occasionally. So we are going to go with that. And from that, we did just take a brown-purple, so we do have to go with some kind of mana conflict here. I think I'm going to make it Sacrificial Priest in this instance, mostly because we don't have a good attack here. These both only have 6. We already have enough tank between the other two and our hero. So I am going to go Sacrificial Priest on this. One really unique thing about Sacrificial Priest is, for one, his ability actually scales pretty well in the arena. It does 12 damage randomly split among all enemies. It's boosted by the sacrificed allies' attack, which isn't too much. Most of them will probably have like something like 6 or 7. So this will only do about 18 to 20 total in most instances. But the really unique thing that this has is it has a 30% chance to summon an Abrath. Abrath is a legendary, and it will has a 30% chance to summon a level 15 Abrath. So if it gets that summon off, you are basically set to win that match. So we are going to get this Sacrificial Priest. Order here, of course, put our highest attack up front. The rest of this order, it might seem a little bit weird, but I am going to have the 5 attack Scale Guard up front there. Mostly because Vampire Lord is going to be denying its mana. So we want to make sure we do kill off our Scale Guard if it happens to get to that. And you just set your hero to something else that isn't either of those colors. So let's keep going now. On to the 10th one. So what does the 10th draft have in store for us? We have Orc Priestess Rockworm. Rockworm, another really strong common. Deals 7 damage to the last enemy and then create 7 brown gem. It can take out an entire team just by itself. We want it. Doesn't even matter what the other choices are. You'd normally go with Rockworm. Okay, here we have a little bit of a choice. We can actually go for a little bit of mana conflict here and go with the Dust Devil. Because we'd actually be able to loop a little bit because the Rockworm will be able to get extra turns just on its own, which will also help fill our Dust Devil. I am going to go the safe route, though, and go with Dryad, and hope that we get a green troop for our last one, or we could just set our hero weapon to a green troop. So we're going to go with that. And now we just took a yellow-blue, So we do want to try getting green, and I think I am going to go with this Giant Spider, even though we block on blues. Giant Spider, of course, is a summoner. It summons a level 12 Spider Swarm, which is red. But as I said earlier, Arena does them all up to level 15, so that will be a level 15 when it comes in. So, and since we don't have red in this team, that would work pretty well as well. And I'd basically put it like this. I'd actually put my hero up front in this case, since it would likely have the highest attack. We only have 5, 6, and 6. You'd probably have like 7 or 8 attack there. So it would actually be the highest attack on our team. Even if it was 6, it would still work out pretty good, since all these other troops are pretty tanky. And at that point, Dryad would just be getting mana for our Giant Spider, who would then probably be giving mana to our hero, who would probably have a purple weapon, since it converts to purples. So let's keep going. That was our 10th draft, so let's go on to 11th. Let's see, 11th. We have Priestess, Pride Hunter, and Golem. Interesting combination here. Golem also has relatively high stats for a common. I'm considering getting it. It explodes a gem, which will give you some mana, and then it reduces all enemy armor by 4, boosted at a 1-to-1 on the brown gems destroyed. So it's pretty good at getting out that initial armor. It's actually a really good first slot, since you can get its ability off once or twice and then you don't need to worry about it. And that explode gem makes it a really good at board control. So let's get that. Of these picks, I would have gone for that Wolf Knight, but we do have mana conflict with it now. It's a really good true damage. It actually has some of the highest true damage that you can get in Arena, because if an enemy is injured, it's doing 11 damage to them. But we are going to go with Dryad due to the mana conflict, so we can keep healing our Golem, have it as a tank. And we just took a yellow-blue, so we actually got a perfect pick right here of Chimera. And let's reorder these. And we'd probably go with something like this. Maybe even up there, but I mostly want to put it back, because our Dryad's going to be feeding this mana over and over again. And Chimera actually has a pretty good ability, because it has both the burn and the poison. And even though it attacks the healthiest, it's just going to keep dragging their HP down. And it's really good against very tanky teams. It's actually one of the quickest troops you can get to have on your team for Arena. So, let's keep going. And we're about halfway done. On to number 12. And of course, at any point here, I don't know if you guys want to watch through all of this. I'm kind of just doing this so you guys have enough examples to go by if you kind of just ever want to have some kind of source to go to, just to kind of know how to draft. If you want to just go to the Let's Play now, I'll have a redeem code on the other episode, as well as showing an actual run. So you might want to do that, or just stay here, watch. We're going to be going through another 13 or 14, however many it is. Okay, anyways, on to Ghoul. Deal 8 damage to the first enemy and reduce all their skills by 1, then destroy 6 gems. He actually got reworked recently, and his rework makes him really good in Arena, so we are getting him. And of these picks, we have Wolf Knight again, but we just took a brown, so we do have mana conflict. Again, we have mana conflict with the Barbarian too, so we are going to have to go with the Succubus. Even though Deathmark isn't particularly good, it is good at targeting on the hero, because the hero is most likely going to be the enemy's tankiest troop that they have on their team. So your Deathmark will instantly kill it if you can get it to trigger. So it will be somewhat good to have. So we are going to go with the Succubus. And since that was red-purple, we do want to go for the anti-mana conflict and go with the Naga Queen. One thing I do want to mention here, this is the first time we see a Black Beast. Black Beast is one of the troops that you can put on your team if you want. It doesn't matter what your team composition is, you can win if you have a Black Beast. You put Black Beast in your second slot or first slot, depending on what your team is, and then you just devour your allies as you need to. Maybe if they're getting low, maybe if they got like burn or poison on them, you want to get them out of the way. Maybe one of your allies has a shield on it and you want to get it on Black Beast. Whatever the case is, you do want to have if your team that you just drafted is really bad, you want to pick a Black Beast and it will instantly be good. Just keep devouring the troops you don't need on your team, and Black Beast will just keep buffing until it can one-shot any enemy on the team. But we are going to go with the Naga Queen just because it doesn't have any mana conflict. And because of that, we're going to put that up front. And there would be basically our composition. So Naga Queen would keep filling up her Succubus. we'd have our hero on yellow, and we'd have this for the extra damage. Plus, we'd be gaining 6 mana whenever I cast that across your team. So that'd work pretty good. Let's keep going. And now we have hit the halfway mark. We are at draft 13. So let's see, what do we have here? Of these, probably going to go for Musketeer. It's the easiest direct damage. Archon Statue, we haven't even gotten this one for a while. It can do quite a bit of damage. It deals 9 damage to an enemy, but if it has any HP damage, it's going to be doing an extra 8. So that's a total of 17 damage. I am going to go for the Banshee though, because we just picked a red troop, and we want to be able to feed it red. And they're both a targetable spell. And we just took a purple yellow. So due to not having mana conflict, we are going to take Weavern. The Weavern is a little weak. It deals 8 damage to the first enemy, then poisons the last enemy. Normally you don't want to pick it too often, but it does have 9 attack. So what we're going to do, we are going to pick it. And since we have somewhat tanky other troops, we're just going to put it in back, and there's our team already. And we have covering all colors, and we have a good attack there, plus a targetable attack, and a targetable attack that'll feed the other targetable attack. So a fairly good team right there as well. So let's keep going. On to draft 14. We have Ghoul, Priestess, and Taros. We're going to go Ghoul, has the highest damage potential. Of these picks, Goblin Shaman's really good. Actually, we have the 2 really good green gem spawners on our team. These 3 would actually make a really good team. Unfortunately, we can only pick one. So we are going to have to go with the Dark Maiden. Dark Maiden does poison, and it deals a decent amount of damage. But the main thing is it does it for only 6 mana cost, so that's a really good ratio return. So we are going to go for that. And since we just took a red-green, we do have to go for some kind of mana conflict here. And since we don't have a high attack, we might want to go with Yeti. We could go with Ancient Horror. Could even go with Goblin Rocket too. It really depends what kind of play method we want to go here. Goblin Rocket would give you a lot more board potential because it gains an extra turn off its explosion. I think in this instant, I would go with, not the Yeti actually. Yeti's a little bit weak in Arena because it deals 9 damage to an enemy and double if it's frozen. But there's not really many ways that you can freeze an enemy in Arena. So we are going to probably go with the, either the Ancient Horror or the Goblin Rocket. I think in this case, Ancient Horror, just have the high attack up front. We're going to have the Ghoul up front there, even though we have the Dark Maiden. Mostly because we want the Dark Maiden's poison to be able to kill off any of the last enemies. Plus it only takes 6 mana, which is a lot quicker than having to get the Ghoul's 8 mana. And then you just set your hero weapon to something else. So we would go on to the next one from there. Okay, on to 15. Let's see, what do we have here? Okay, Pride Hunter, Quasit, and the Musketeer. The Quasit, you basically never want to pick. It's not too good. Pride Hunter, either of these 2 would be really good. They both do the same amount of damage, but for 2 mana more, Pride Hunter will only hit the first troop, but it will also silence them. Since we don't really need that, we are going to go with the Musketeer. One of the main reasons is, basically all mana in Arena runs by 3s. Because you aren't going to be able to set a mana or have anything like that. And so unless you have a troop on your team that's going to be destroying the board or getting you extra mana somehow, you want to try picking troops that have a divisible by 3 ratio of mana. Which I actually haven't mentioned yet, but you do want to consider that when picking troops. Like even like based on what I just said, you want to go with Hippogriff right here because it has a divisible by 3 ratio. Like these, if you happen to get like 3 matches of 3, you just got them to 9 mana, and then you have to waste a whole nother match just to get it back up. So we are going for the Hippogriff. We also needed because we need a front tank, or damage source, I mean. And we just took a yellow green. So due to not getting mana conflict, we are going to have to go for the Watcher. And in this order, we'd go with that, and basically you just order them in attack order. And your hero would probably only be like 6, 7, or 8 attacks, so that kind of go there too. Just make sure you have a back tank. And the Watcher that I just picked is okay. It does have true damage. It deals 7 to a single target and then 1 true damage to adjacent ones. It's normally only good if you have, really good if you have a status effect though, because if an enemy has a status effect on them, they this troop will drain their mana. And that's basically that setup. So let's go to the next one. Okay, on to draft 16. Okay, now might be a little bit of a hard choice between the Goblin and the Ogre. Also, whenever you have the choice between the Satire and the Goblin, always go Goblin. Goblin is better. Mostly because the divisible by 3 ratio and the fact that Goblin gets to choose any target, whereas the Satire only gets to choose the back target. So this is a choice between Ogre and Goblin. I'm going to go Goblin. From here, we'd want to go White or Wolf Knight. Both are really good true damage. We haven't seen White yet. It steals 6 life from an enemy, so it deals 6 true damage, then gains 6 life. That's pretty effective. Then it creates 5 purples. We currently don't have a purple on the team. We could use a purple weapon. But Wolf Knight here, he does have a higher damage potential for a lower mana cost, so I am going to go with the Wolf Knight. And after that, we just took a brown-yellow. And it would have been good to take the Sacred Guardian. But of course, for non-mana conflict, we are going to go with the other good choice and go with Berserker. Winter Wolf is actually a really good pick in Arena as well. All 3 of these are actually outstanding picks to have for your Ultra Rare. I haven't mentioned Winter Wolf yet. It freezes and then places Hunter's Mark on the first troop. Then deals 9 damage to them. And then if there are 10 or more blue gems, it creates another 5. So it does quite a bit. What makes this really effective is that freeze plus Hunter's Mark. It's a really good skull counter. Plus, it'll make sure you do twice as much skull damage to them. So it's really good all around, the Winter Wolf. But we are going to go Berserker due to the mana conflict. So Berserker up front. If I was actually doing this team, I'd probably place it like something like that. But because your hero is probably a little bit weaker, you might actually want to put your Berserker up front. It basically depends on you. So Goblin, you don't want to have in the back. As you can see, our Wolf Knight is 2 armor tankier, so we do want to have our Wolf Knight there instead. So that'd basically be that team. So let's keep going. On to draft 17. Okay, of these, you basically never want to pick Drow or Orc, so we're going to go on to the Snow Sprite. Another one of the only few troops in Arena that actually has a freeze. Deals 4 damage to an enemy and then freezes them. Not too much damage, but that freeze can come in handy. And it's only a 6 mana cost, so it's not too bad. It's fairly tanky too. So it's a little bit weak, but it's not. If your other choices are bad, it's better than having something else. Well, here we have 3 really good choices. We are going to want to go with true damage though, because true damage is better. I am going to go with Miststalker in particular, because it can get stronger over time with the gain 3 magic on whenever it kills someone. Plus it has that poison, which will also chip them down if we start losing other troops. So we are going to go with the that. And now we just took a red-purple, so we do unfortunately have mana conflict now. And we are going to have to pick a brown-purple. Of these, I'm probably going to go with Watcher. As I just mentioned not too long ago, if you have a troop that can do a status effect, we have Poison here. We have Miststalker here who will do that. And if Miststalker happens to not kill, we'll just have our Watcher clean it up for us. And of this order, we're actually going to want to put probably Watcher up front just because it has the higher attack. Snow Spirit, despite it having a lower attack, we are going to want to put it all the way in the back there. Just have it as a bank tag. You don't really need it too much. You kind of just want it to have a freeze or just do that last hit of that little bit of damage. And of course, we'd probably want to use Miststalker instead for last hitting. But yeah, that's that team. Let's keep going. Number 18. I believe it's 18 now. What do we have? Drow, Ghoul, Pride Hunter. Sounds like Ghoul. Alchemist, Hellhound, and the Night Terror. We are going to go with Night Terror here. Has really good damage. It hits the weakest every single time, so that's also pretty good. And it has a 2-to-1 ratio on the blues it removes, so it'll be good if someone picks or against things like Valkyrie and some other pretty common picks that you might see. So we are going to pick the Night Terror. And we just took a red-purple, so due to no mana conflicts, we're going to want to take the Knight Coronet. And in this order, we're probably just going to go there, there, and put her here in the back there. Knight Coronet's pretty good, deals 6 damage to the first and last enemy, and then 2-to-1 on the purples removed, so it can get quite a bit of damage potential if there are a lot of purples on the board, and Night Terror will help in that by removing blues, and it'd go, this team would go pretty well. So let's keep going. On to the 19th. Okay, 19th Arena Draft. What do we have? We have Serpent, Zombie, and Goblin. Serpent can actually be good. Depends on what kind of team you want to go with. It poisons the first 2 enemies, then creates 9 red gems, and gains 4 life. That is fairly decent if you want to try feeding red gems to something. I am, however, going to be going with Goblin just because it is 3 armor tankier, and we want to make sure our damage source is somewhat alive. Serpent does end up gaining HP, but he needs to be able to cast first. Oh, Winter Knight is actually a really, really good pick. It explodes a gem, gains 4 armor, boosted by the blue gem destroyed at a 2x ratio. So it's going to be gaining a lot of armor there. And then it gains barrier as well. So a really, really tanky troop. Unfortunately, regardless of what we took, that green or that blue on that first pick, we were going to block that. So of these, we are going to gamble with Alchemist. You'd either want to set your hero weapon to a yellow if you're on PC mobile, or you're just going to have to hope your last troop will use yellow. So we're going to go with Alchemist. And luckily, we did get a troop with yellow. Unfortunately, though, it is not a troop that does damage, but we are going to have to take it just to make sure we cover all the colors. And at this point, we'd want to put him up front. Goblin, we're going to put a little bit more on the back since we don't have that much damage source. We want to make sure he survives. And Hero, you'd probably want to put on either a yellow weapon or the blue that it doesn't use, or on a yellow-blue weapon if you happen to have both colors on one. And at that point, you just have Herdmaster Cleansing All, which is really good, but you don't really have much damage source. You just have Goblin and maybe your hero weapon if you set it to something. A team like this might actually be too slow for Arena. What I sometimes do is what you've seen me do like 18 times now, is if you get a fairly bad team that you think, or maybe it's not that bad, like you see, we're covering every color. If we just set this to a blue weapon, we just covered every color. But if your Arena team isn't too good, don't feel afraid to just click that retire button and just X out of it. It's only going to cost you about 750 gold to be able to go out. Like, you get a bit of it back, so it's only costing you about 800 gold to back out. And you don't really need to worry about it. If you think your team that you just picked is going to cost you like an extra 10 to 20 minutes, just pay that extra gold to repick your team, and you'll be able to get a much faster team, and you'll overall be able to save time and gold. So don't feel afraid to have to like retire once or twice if you over your initial draft, if you want to be able to get that better team that'll be able to go quickly in Arena. So here we already know here Scale Guard. Also, this is our 20th draft, by the way. Here we have a decent choice between the Cockatrice or the Warlord. The Stingeon here, you basically never want to use it in its current state. It is really, really weak for some reason. I don't know why, but basically never use it ever in its current state. We have a choice now between a damage source or a disable. And it's a little bit of a hard choice. I am going to be going with the disable though, mostly because it has more durability, has 2 more HP, 2 more armor, and it's going to be helping us to make sure if they have a high attack or a high, something that's going to be attacking quick, we'll be able to disable them. So we are going to go with that. And we just took a brown yellow, which is really unfortunate because we just have Sacred Guardian right there, and now we have conflict with brown. So I am going to have to go with the Ancient Arm. Main reason, he has 9 attack. And since we have low attack right now, we're going to want to get that attack up. And you basically just want to use this position. We'd have a Scale Guard as a main damage source. Of course, we have a 9 attack up front, which will be doing work. And then we just set our hero to whatever else we need. So let's keep going. On to the 21st drafts. Let's keep going. What do we have this time? Closet, Satire, Musketeer. Let's go Musketeer. No, Ranger and Rhinax. All of these are fairly bad. Of these, I'd probably go with Ranger, mostly because it has a 6 damage to a targeted enemy, and then it deals 8 damage randomly split among all enemies. This 8 damage is particularly good because you can use that damage, the targetable damage, to kill someone, then that split damage to kill someone who's very low, like maybe 3 HP, 2 HP, 1 HP. So this Ranger is actually somewhat decent. Definitely not the best you can get, but if you don't have better choices, it's definitely something good to consider. It also worked pretty well with our Musketeer. And we just took a yellow green, so we are going to have mana conflict somewhere here. Let's see. This one is actually a little bit of a choice, and basically depends what kind of playstyle you go with. Any of these would be a fairly good choice. And I think in this case, I would go with the Knight Coronet, mostly because it has the highest damage potential of anything we have here. So in these positionings, I'd probably actually keep my hero in the first slot, put Knight Coronet up there. Or actually, I'd probably go double color on that. And then I'll probably go with something like this. Put our Ranger, or actually put our hero in the back. And it actually, there's pretty much a lot of ways you can order this one, since they're all pretty similarly statted. So probably something like that, and we just basically go from there. Musketeer kind of just for cleanup. You can even switch that. It really just matters how you want to play a team sometimes, and what works for you, because everyone has different play styles of how they like to do teams. So that's that team. Let's keep going. What is this, 22nd now? Let's see what we get. Skeleton, Golem, Thrall. Probably Skeleton or Golem. Personally, I'd go for this Golem. Dryad, Cockroaches, or Night Terror. We don't have that much damage, so let's actually go with the Night Terror this time. And we just took a red-purple, so from process of elimination, we want to take Druid. Druid is a pretty good damage source as well. Night Terror we want up front because it's stealing our own blues, so we want to make sure it dies off our team pretty quick. We're actually going to keep our Druid in the back because it's pretty tanky. It has 24 total durability between its HP and armor, which is very, very, very high. Same as, what was it? The Berserker, except distributed in armor and HP more evenly. But yeah, it deals 8 damage to 2 enemies and then 1 to adjacent. So that's a damage potential of 20 damage, which is pretty good for 12 mana. And you'd basically just go with that team and go from there. So let's keep going. On to the 23rd draft? I don't know. We might have lost count. We might do one more or one less, but we'll find out. At this point, if any of you are still watching, definitely leave a like if you are enjoying this. I actually couldn't really believe anyone would actually go through this many. But if you find this enjoyable, I find that amazing. I mostly just wanted to make this to help people out, but it's starting to get pretty long at this point, so hopefully this is helpful. I'm going now for this Rockworm here. Rockworm, of course, is basically a troop that can solo an entire enemy team if you use it correctly. So we're going to go with that Rockworm. We could actually go with Templar here because Rockworm actually does work good with multiple brown chips. And what we're actually going to go do instead, though, is go with this Acolyte. Acolyte creates 9 brown gems, so it's going to be really good to assist our Rockworm. And we just took a blue-purple. So from process of elimination, we do want to go with the Twisted Hero to make sure we cover all the colors. And from this point, we'd probably want Twisted Hero up front, since he's not really doing too much. He's creating 9, 5 red, 5 purple, and then giving 4 to a random skill. That'd be pretty good if it gives that magic to Burrow, the Rockworm. But whatever it does, it doesn't do too much, so we mostly just want him up front to die. Put that there. You have Hero in the back for back tank. And this whole team is basically just set up to make sure Rockworm can kill the enemy team over and over again. So that's that team. Let's keep going. Okay, what do we have next? Arena. Let's go. Okay, no. First time we've seen a Direwolf, I think, or I just haven't explained it. Direwolf is a bit situational. It places Hunter's Mark on an enemy, and if there are 10 or more green gems, you gain an extra turn. I am actually going to take it over the Snow Spirit, just because 2 times skull damage can be pretty good. Especially if your hero already has something like 7, 8, or 9 attack, you're going to be doing quite a bit of damage. So if you're later in the game in Arena, you might want to consider it too. So we are going to go with that. Right off the bat, we shouldn't have. We already have green conflict with every single pick here. I am going to go with the Dark Maiden though, because that's such a cheap spell. Plus it has that poison. And we're going to have to go with Grave Knight just to make sure we don't block too many manas on our team. Grave Knight can be okay. It destroys an enemy's armor and then deals 7 damage. So if something has really high armor, it can be really effective. So we're going to go with that. We don't really have a high attack in this team. Keep that there. Keep Hero in the back for a back tank. You could block your Direwolf if you want, or just have it up front to make sure it can get the Hunter's Mark. Depends if you want the Hunter's Mark or not. This would be a really good instance in which the Black Beast would be good, since we don't really need our Direwolf in this team now. So we could either kill that or kill our Dark Maiden or something like that, depending on what we need. If I actually got this team, I'd probably just repick it if I have to. So let's keep going. And this is actually going to be our last pick. This should be our 25th one. So let's get into it. What will our last picks give us? Okay, we have Centaur Scout, Rockworm Priestess. We already know Rockworm. Steam Turret, don't really need it. It's actually pretty weak. Saber-Tooth Line and Stargazer. Stargazer isn't that good in Arena. Has a really low ratio of only 4-to-1. And since it doesn't have Empowered, it's basically useless to a degree. So we're going to go with Saber-Tooth Line. Really good in Arena because if it kills someone, it gains 5 magic. So it's going to be doing 14 damage after its first kill, 19 after its second, and by then you're basically one-shotting the enemy team. So it is really powerful. You want to keep it in your 3rd slot to make sure it doesn't die. So we're going to take that. Plus we don't have any mana conflict, so that's really good. So we're going to go with our, we got a green-blue there. So to make sure we don't have any colors going anywhere, we're going to take the red-yellow. I put this up front to make sure it dies since it isn't particularly good. Here we have a bit of a conflict because Rockworm and Saber-Tooth Line we both want to have in our 3rd slot. So in this instance, I'm going to keep my hero in the back to tank, and I am going to have my Rockworm a little bit more up front just to make sure our Saber-Tooth Line can keep getting those last hits. So yeah, that will do it for showing you how to draft. If you have any questions about how to draft or anything about Arena, just leave it in the comment section below and just let me know and I'll be able to answer it for you. Well, that will do it for this video. Thanks for watching and I was hopeful this was helpful. Goodbye.